So, with those correspondences borne in mind, we now set off from the blasted tower, and we can see already how this reading has already started to shape itself into a narrative. We have the page of one setting off on this journey. He's already met the blasted tower quite quickly. So without looking at the dignities for this next sequence or the cards either side of each card we're looking at, so we can focus on the counting method alone, I'd like us to quickly pace through the narrative as it develops. What we do is we count along the sequence with the method that we've learnt and with the key that we have. This is the opening of the key after all. And we keep counting and reading each card as part of a narrative sequence until we touch upon a card, reach a card with our counting that we've already interpreted or touched. This means that the reading could be very short. Even though we've laid out a lot of cards, we might come back, say for example, to the page of wands within 2 or 3 cards, within 2 or 3 counts. Or we could cycle round, almost reading every single card in the entire narrative sequence. So, what we do is we work from the blasted tower, corresponding to Mars. Notice I say corresponding, not is. The blasted tower is not Mars. It corresponds to Mars. So it corresponds to Mars, which is a planet, so we count 9. And we count 9. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And assuming my counting is correct, I reach the 2 of Swords. So if you'd like to check your handout and make sure that you also count to the 2 of Swords. This seems to show an impasse. Now, in our developing narrative, we've obviously seen how the blasted tower signifies a communication breakdown, perhaps. I think this is borne out by this card. We now have the 2 of Swords. They're 2 very different directions that this business wants to go in, 2 very different ideas by both partners in it. And this is leading to a blindness, even though the tide may be creeping up on them. The 2 of Swords, we count very simply, it's a pip card, a numbered card, so we count 2. In effect, that just takes us 1 step forward. So we count 1 on the card itself, 2 is the next card, which is the Chariot. So we count 1, 2, and hit the Chariot. So there's still a lot of drive and energy. However, the Chariot can also signify a state of just allowing things to happen and reining in 2 opposing forces. It could be that both ideas can be met, harnessed, and gone forwards with. It's just that the people can't actually see this. This we might see indicated by the fact that we have the 2 of Swords and strength either side. It's almost like they're fighting something that actually doesn't need to be fought. So we have the Chariot, and then we count from the Chariot, which corresponds to Cancer. So we would count 12, it's a zodiacal symbol. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And we reach the 4 of Cups. So it would seem that there's a sense of emotional dissatisfaction creeping in. It's almost as if they're now, the people involved in this business are concentrating on the negative things that are happening, whilst perhaps avoiding or not seeing some sort of sponsorship that may be available to them, some sort of assistance, funding perhaps, or just support of an emotional nature. Again, we can look at the cards either side of that to show how strong that is within the reading, and if the person who was present whilst we were doing the reading said, "Oh, that's very interesting, where might that emotional support come from?" We can look at the 2 cards either side. So perhaps you can do that as homework. So the 4 of Cups is a numbered card, so now we're getting into the swing of it. You should know that we count 4 from that. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, and we reach the Page of Cups. Now this is quite interesting because we've already had the Page of Wands as our significator. I'm starting to think that the Page of Cups is now the other person. Perhaps the other person actually came in for emotional support. Perhaps the other person is there as the more creative person, as opposed to the person who is being driven by the Page of Wands, who we chose as the significator. So we could take a look at that and read that as the other person. Now, from the Page of Cups, it might be quite interesting now to actually start to read the reading almost as if it's now bearing more on the other person involved, as opposed to the individual we're doing the reading from, as this seems to be a very dynamic situation between these two people. The Page of Cups is a page card, so we count 7. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And of course we are now lagging one behind the count, as if we'd counted from the Page of Wands. So we get to the Hanged Man.